It's time for the 32081 Scoreboard Show. Let's recap the latest weekly scores and highlights from around the county.
Hello, I'm the Todd, and welcome to the 32081 Scoreboard Show. Man, did this week have some great football in both middle school and high school levels. Let's start off with our middle school reporters and go to Sean Finelli with Pine Island Dolphins and see how their game against the VRA Hawks went.
Resilience and teamwork were on display Wednesday night when the Pine Island Dolphins took on a well-established Valley Ridge football program at Nease High School. In only the second game of the first-year program, Coach Isaac Byers' Fighting Fins came out in full force, bouncing back from a 46-0 loss against Mill Creek in last week's inaugural game, and nearly cutting that deficit in half the second game, in addition to scoring Pine Island's first touchdown and extra point in the 28-7 loss. A loss on the books is a win in the hearts of the Pine Island players, coaches, and parents thanks to an aggressive defense and a much-improved offense. Cooper Hollis had 2 sacks on the night, Ethan Finley with 5 tackles, and Jack Hatton had a backfield sack leading to an intentional grounding call. A much-improved effort by the offensive line enabled quarterback John Hetzel to sneak in from the 2 for the Dolphins' first-ever touchdown in the third quarter, followed by the first-ever extra point scored by Art Davis-Bayer. The score came with 1:47 to go in the third quarter, putting the Dolphins within 7 of the Hawks, who are widely believed to be one of the top teams in the SJMSAA. But Hawks head coach Shannon Pfeiffer feared the Fin enough to put the first string back in to ensure the victory. The Dolphins will take this momentum to Pacetti Bay on September 21st to face the Wildcats. Game time is scheduled for 5 p.m. Reporting for the 32081 Scoreboard, I'm Sean Finley.
Thanks, Sean, and congratulations to the Dolphins for another game with a season of first, getting the program's first touchdown and extra point. Across the field with the winning VRA Hawks is our very own Tiffany Mason.
This is Tiffany reporting from Nease High School, where our Valley Ridge Hawks just took down the Pine Island Dolphins 28-7. Despite 20 flags being thrown, the teams battled through. As for the Hawks, the defense had another strong showing. Sloan Davis led the defense with 4 tackles, 1 sack, and a forced fumble and recovery. Grant Negron looked beat on a deep ball but made a great recovery and picked the ball off. He went on to return it for a touchdown, but it was called back due to a block in the back. The Hawks' offense was flying high again, with Aiden Pfeiffer throwing for a little over 200 yards with 3 TDs, connecting with Cash Calbo, who had another good performance with 2 receiving TDs and 86 yards receiving. Pfeiffer also connected with Luke Halla on a 55-yard reception and scored, while Alexander Winkles had a 70-yard touchdown callback due to a penalty. He still led the rushing attack with 70 yards and a touchdown. Another good night for the Hawks. The Hawks will be facing their biggest task of the season so far with a very big, fast, and strong Freedom Crossing team next week at Bartram High School. Hope to see you there.
Thanks, Tiffany. And before the Hawks and Fins took the field at Nease, the PVA Bobcats and the POA Chargers faced off, and the head coach of the Bobcats, Tony Hodge, joins us right now with an update.
Reporting for the 32081 Scoreboard Show from Nease High School, this is Coach Tony from the Palm Valley Academy Bobcats. Tonight, the Bobcats took on the Patriot Oaks Chargers in a hard-fought battle to the end. A 6-0 halftime deficit turned into a 15-12 lead after 3 quarters for the Bobcats. The Chargers came on strong in the fourth quarter and defeated the Bobcats 34-15.
Thanks for joining us on the show, Coach. And this continued to be a great weekend in middle school football with the Fruit Cove Flyers taking on the Raiders of Swiss Point. For an update on that game, let's go to Raiders Renee.
This week, Swiss Point took on their rivalry Fruit Cove in Game 2. The Raiders met the Flyers at Bartram, and they had a difficult first half ending in 0-14. After a 30-minute weather delay, the Raiders came back with a vengeance in the second half, with Knox Amos and Brendan Monaco adding 14 points to the scoreboard. It was a real nail-biter. The Flyers came back and scored another touchdown, with a final score of 14 Raiders, 20 Flyers. The Raiders are getting better every week, and we look forward to week 3, where the Raiders will take on LPA at Bartram at 5 p.m. Reporting for the 32081 Scoreboard Show, I'm Renee. Let's go Raiders.
Thanks, Renee. And the Mill Creek Mustangs were delayed once again by weather, but they were eventually able to get the game underway against the Freedom Crossing Falcons. Let's check in with Anthony Moraes on how that game fared.
This is Anthony Moraes representing the Mill Creek Mustangs football team. For the second straight week, Mother Nature decided to delay our kickoff. For the first few weeks of the season, the Mustangs have sustained some tough injuries that had a handful of starters sitting for Wednesday night's game versus Freedom Crossing. The Mustangs got off to a slow start on their opening possession and put themselves in a deep hole due to penalties. The Mustangs found themselves on the wrong side of the field position battle, giving Freedom Crossing short fields that resulted in 2 first-half scores, one coming on the last play of the first half. The Mustangs had a few solid plays sprinkled into an otherwise inconsistent performance. Ultimately, Mother Nature intervened at the conclusion of the third quarter, and the Mustangs suffered their first loss of the season, 30-0.
Thanks, Anthony. Now switching over to high school, again, Nease was the place to be for games with great action. The Panthers welcomed the Fleming Island Eagles to the Den. This was a matchup with Nease's own Marcus Stokes, a Florida commit, and Fleming Island's Sam Singleton, a Florida State commit, facing off against each other. Let's check in with Coach Pekatanis for the update.
Representing the Nease Panthers football team, this is Coach Pekatanis. The Panthers met the Fleming Island Golden Eagles at home tonight after a 30-minute rain delay to start the game. The size and speed of the Golden Eagles were just a little bit too much for the Panthers. Despite a last-minute touchdown drive that fell short as time expired, the Golden Eagles went on to win 19-14. The Panthers were led by rushing TDs from D1 Florida commit Marcus Stokes and running back Sam Milton. For the 32081 Scoreboard Show, this is Coach Pekatanis from Nease High School in Ponte Vedra.
And also, we want to send Coach P and the JV Nease Panthers also congratulations as they were able to defeat the Clay Blue Devils this past week. So congratulations, Coach, and thank you as always for calling in the update from Nease. Now, if you really want to know how awesome this Nease Panthers and Fleming Island game really was, it took over 20 minutes for me to get out of the parking lot because nobody left the game early. The Panthers welcomed the Fletcher Senators as they crossed the ditch for a Friday night 7 o'clock kickoff. If you are a Panther fan, if you have a kindergartner that will be attending Nease, get out to the game and be loud. Other high school scores from around the area include the Bartram Bears are now 3-0 after beating the Mainland Pirates 17-3. The Bears travel to Tallahassee on Thursday to take on a 3-0 Tallahassee Lincoln team, which has outscored opponents in their 3 games 182-6, which includes 2 shutouts and 2 games scoring over 70 points. The Menendez Falcons steamrolled the Pine Ridge Panthers of Deltona 40-0. Christian Coleman had a 100-yard rushing night with 2 touchdowns for the Falcons, with his longest run being for 56 yards. On the defensive side of the ball, the Falcons got 3 sacks, 2 from Zaki James and 1 from Jake Orr. The Ponte Vedra Sharks were off this week and will host Menendez at the Shark Tank for a 7 o'clock kickoff. The Decoy Toros hosted the Bishop County Crusaders and were dealt their first loss of the season, 25-13. The Toros will host Ridgeview this Friday at 7 o'clock. The Beachside Barracudas traveled to Christchurch, but we did not get a score yet on that one. And there were 2 games across the border featuring our local teams. The St. Augustine Yellow Jackets lost to the Coffee High School Trojans 34-14. And the Creekside Knights took part of the Border Wars and beat the Glen Academy Terrors 21-20. Creekside will host the Buchholz Bobcats while the Yellow Jackets will travel to Menendez. Both games are scheduled for a 7 o'clock Friday night kickoff. Those are your football scores from the area. Thank you for listening, and please don't forget to subscribe to the show on your streaming platform of choice. I'm the Todd, and thank you for listening to the Scoreboard Show on the 32081.
Thank you for listening to the 32081. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Please don't forget to subscribe to the show so you can join us for the next episode.
I never miss an episode. It's the best.
Until next time, take care.